Okay, just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She's looking for love in a city where it seems like it doesn't exist. She's an up and coming TikToker sharing her shit show of a journey through the dating life in LA. Please welcome Glowstick.
I love that intro. Who came up with that?
You.
I am such a clever little girl. I'm just
You
kidding.
you did really well with that. I love it.
You. Well, how are you guys doing?
We're doing amazing. So let me give the listeners a little background of how we know you. So we talk about on the pod, we've talked about a few times. We were on Will Kuzi's podcast, the Kava Club podcast, and you were there with us. And you were on team feminism. And we just fell in love with you because you're so kind and so sweet and so smart. And we just wanted to have you on because we want to hear about you. So give us like a little, maybe a quick bio of like who you are, what makes you you, and why you're where you are today.
Okay. A little background about me. I am just a regular schmegular girl, nothing special except for my crazy experiences. But I just work a 9-to-5 job as a marketing manager. And then on my free time, I like to get loose, have a little bit of fun. The fun usually leads to crazy adventures and stories. And so I decided to share my stories on TikTok, and I'm guessing that's how Will found me. And then it led me to you guys. And I feel like it was destined to me because I feel like we think alike and we have very similar experiences. So very thankful for that.
Yeah, I love that. And it's interesting because when I started the podcast, Glow, one of the reasons I started it is because I had all these crazy stories that I needed to like share, because like it's insane what we deal with in the dating world now.
I know there's just too much that goes into it, and I've been struggling. I feel like I've been struggling even before like social media came in. Like just I feel like this whole entire new generation, we just have way too many options, and it's just like on to the next one. So we're having like crazy experience after crazy experience. And I think out of all my friends and people that I talk to, I probably have the craziest one. So they're always asking me to share my story. So I was like, let me share it with the world and see what happens.
I love that.
That's awesome. Like, so what has the like response been like? And like, what, like, do you feel like you've learned or gained anything from like sharing your story on TikTok in this way?
I have definitely learned a lot. I thought that I was the only one that experienced these things, but come to find out there's a lot of, I don't want to say shitty men, but positions to get screwed over. And they're like, oh my God, I also experienced getting an STD from this dude that I just met. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not the only one.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
But there's a lot of men out there too that are very opinionated. When a girl speaks her mind, they always have something to say. So there's like good and bad. Like I'm learning from other people or other women, like they're going through the same things, and we can kind of relate to that. But then there's men that just like, I had this one guy that blocked me and then I guess came back and commented on one of my videos, and he's like, I dodged a bullet. And so I had to give him a little peace of mind and let him know that he didn't dodge a bullet because I dodged him, and that's why he blocked me. So I put him on blast, but yeah.
Good
You
for
get
you.
the good and the bad.
Yeah. So, okay. So what is the current state of your dating life right now?
The current state, well, right now I kind of am just dating. I've had like a little bit of struggle moving to LA, and I kind of just feel like men only care about the way a woman looks. And so with my therapist, I've been talking to her, and she's like, your viewpoint is just really skewed. So she's like, I want you to date as many people as possible to kind of change your train of thought or the way you think about men, especially in the city. And so I've been doing that, and it kind of has changed. Like I'm realizing a lot of men kind of want a little bit more, but on the outside, that's what it seems like they want, but they are kind of like us in a way, and they do want some kind of emotional intimacy. So it has changed my viewpoint a little bit, but I am still dating. I haven't found the one yet. So we're still having those crazy experiences, even though I am learning.
I really like that though, because I think I like that your therapist gave you that advice, because there's a couple ways that it could go when you continue to have insane stories like this guy that blocked you that then came back just to like tear you down. Like, what a fucking asshole, you know?
Yeah.
And but then that you're taking that and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna let that bring me down, and I'm gonna continue to go out there and date and like try and not lump everybody up into this belief that has been created because of how I've been treated. And that really, while men are visual creatures and like initially they have to kind of be like, yeah, I want to fuck them, you know, like as you get deeper and deeper, like they do want the intimacy part of it and they want to get to know you. And some men are just a little bit better about like toning that down.
Yeah. Some men.
So, very few.
Well, and it's also and what I like too about like the way your therapist framed it is like if you're dating enough people, that may actually like create the situation where you're saying yes to dates with people that you wouldn't have before. Because the other thing, right? Like we have all these dating coaches and relationship experts on, and like they always say like, you know, like well, is that like all people, or is that the people that you are choosing that are really doing that? And by, you know, like who was it that recently told us like, oh, this isn't this a Jade thing? Like say yes to a second date.
Yes.
Sometimes even if the first date was like, I'm not sure.
Just say yes, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I have yet to do.
What's happening? You don't want to go on a second date? What's happening? They're that bad?
I have a hard time. I just feel like my time is so valuable. And if I'm bored or like the guy is way more into me than I'm into him, I feel so uncomfortable and I just do not want to be in that situation anymore. And it's to the point where like I feel anxiety about it. I dread it. Like, and so I feel like if I'm feeling that way, like maybe it's not best to like force myself through it, but maybe I should. I don't know.
Well, so like I also have that problem. Like until recently, I could never go on a second date because I'm like, I didn't feel them. I don't want to waste it. And so my therapist is like, just force yourself to try it. And I don't know, she made me realize that I kind of have a problem where if a guy likes me, I think something's wrong with him. And so I won't go on the second date because I'm like, this is just wasting my time because something's obviously wrong with him if he likes me. So now I'm forcing myself to go out on these second dates, and it's giving me a new perspective about them. I mean, they still don't work out, but it's offered me like another viewpoint of who they are. So I feel like we're getting a little bit closer to me not thinking like automatically like, oh, they like me, something's wrong with them, or what's going on through their head. I don't know. That's how I've been able to work through that problem.
I think that's great. I think that's a great mindset. And it sounds like if you continue that mindset, like you're going to meet the right person in no time, because it's like, the truth is I keep hearing this and I'm like, oh, I need to like learn this for myself. But like all these women that end up finding their partner, they're finding them and they're exactly opposite of what they typically go for. You know, and it's like, it's the actual like nice guy. And it's the guy that like is like maybe not the most attractive, or maybe is like the nerdy guy, but like he's the one that's like secure and like there, and they have to like change their mindset and be like, oh wait, this is actually what I want. So I need to somehow like train myself to be attracted to that. Because I think Glo, if you know, I don't know if you agree with this, but I think you and I are probably attracted to the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the assholes.
Well, and actually, so when you said what you just said a minute ago, Leanna, about like on the first date, either the guy likes you too much or you feel bored, like one of the things I was just saying to a friend of mine is like, so I'm on a dating pause right now, but
It's been a long pause.
Why? Okay, can I ask why are you on a pause?
Because I think like for me, I was just like playing the same pattern over and over. And I've actually like been in a really like fucking great healthy place of like just kind of connecting to myself more and like not so and like so let me step back and like also answer your question, Glow.
He's like, this is not about me right now.
No, but
Well,
I do
no.
want to know.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, no, because but what I said to my friend recently is like, I'm like, I'm finding myself, you know, and just like women I encounter in the world, like being attracted to like healthy qualities in women for like the first time in my life,
Oh.
you know, and I said like
what are those qualities you're attracted to?
just like I think people that feel sort of secure and have a strong sense of themselves, but aren't like, it's not like an ego thing. They have good boundaries, you know, so they're a little bit like, you know, they're like thoughtful in how they approach people and stuff like that. And I said to my friend, if you know, I've said I've been on dates with women like this before, and they just felt like boring to me. Like I was like, oh, like because I think because I'm a codependent, like I think I have, I think we kind of all are in some ways, like have this thing where like, and like we're looking like we're like, oh, I don't feel like that spark. But what that spark is to someone like I was for a very long time is like this like romantic right off the bat intensity that is like not really real and just comes from like our own, like it was like more trauma bonding stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
No, what I realized is like through therapy, my therapist at the beginning of the pandemic, I decided to get a therapist because I was forced to just be by myself and I couldn't do my crazy, just going out, partying, drinking, not being in touch with myself. And so whenever I went to quarantine, I was like, what is this in my head? So I needed someone to talk to. And then I talked to my therapist and she's like, you kind of have bipolar tendencies. Like you have really high highs. And then after the high wears off, then you sink into like a deep depression. And so I realized that with like relationships, I'm looking for the highest high off the bat. And those are never going to work out. Like every guy that I've had the highest highs, I've also had the lowest lows with them, and that's not healthy. So I'm trying to find a way to be okay with just being like in a stable partnership. And so that's what I'm working through right now. And throughout the pandemic, I was able to like stabilize myself where I don't need to go out and like have a raging weekend and then come back home and then be depressed. So I'm finally like in touch with myself. And so now I'm like learning how to incorporate that with another person. So I think that
Hell yeah.
was a struggle.
That's awesome. Well, and like that, you know, what was interesting is like before I went on like a break from dating, I like pretty much stopped drinking because that was my thing forever too, Glow, was like, because I didn't like being in my own head. And so like every weekend it would be like just like blow the doors off, like just out drinking at night with my friends, like start at brunch the next day, like, you know, whatever, like someone's got weed, like let's do it, like smoking cigarettes, like the whole thing. And like it was just this roller coaster. And then during the week, it would be like all stress, like focus on work, like going for runs, drinking kale smoothie. It was this really like binge and purge lifestyle, which is what my friend called it.
Yeah.
And like stepping off of that roller coaster first helped me getting like more connected to myself. And then I realized like this kind of like compulsive like dating app behavior I was doing was also like keeping me from like, it wasn't making me happy, and it wasn't like, it was kind of keeping me disconnected from myself. Yeah.
That's interesting. So that's why you took a break.
Yeah. It feels fucking great. You should do it.
You know, I also have not been on the dating apps since like early September. Glow, are you on the dating apps?
I still am because my therapist is forcing me to go on these. I literally every single week I'm like, I'm exhausted, and she's like, keep trying, and I'm like, I'm forcing myself, and I'm like, okay, let's go. But it's actually led to some great experiences, and I'm still learning a lot, and I feel like it's important. Like it's kind of like going to school. Learning different people and their mindset, and men are actually very interesting. And I feel like I am like a very open person, and so they are open towards me, and so I'm getting like a different perspective from them, and I actually really appreciate, even though it's like not really romantic or anything. I feel like I'm kind of their free therapist, and I'll make them better for the next person.
I love that.
Good for you.
So,
Yeah.
Glow, I have a question because you're absolutely stunning. Like you're so beautiful. You're so sexy and poised. How do you deal with like, do you sleep with guys on the first date? Do you try and wait? Do you feel like they're really forward sexually? Like, how do you deal with that?
Okay, so my mom kind of, I've always been like a little wild child. So, but my mom has always instilled in me like men are the worst. Don't ever give up your cookie too fast. So I have always waited a really long time because I need to figure men out before I can let them exchange their energy physically with me. So I will wait a while in order to do that. But if I'm if I just want to have fun and I don't see anything with them, I will. Like I went to Vegas. I've never done this before, but I had a little bit of fun in Vegas.
Sure.
That's the only time, but I feel like you have to go through that just to experience it.
Yeah.
But it's not meant for everyone. I don't think I probably won't do it again, but it was fun for the time being.
Did you, I'm just curious because we talk about casual sex all the time. And while we both have had casual sex, we don't feel like it feels good. It just doesn't feel good. Did you feel good or what were your feelings after your Las Vegas experience?
After your one night stand in Vegas.
Yeah.
It was actually really sad for me because I'm like really, I put out there that I'm very confident, but deep down I feel like I'm kind of insecure. And so the person I ended up sleeping with, we went to a club the next day and he started like dancing with another girl who had big fake tits and then like huge lips. And I was like, the next day I was like looking at my plastic surgeon. I'm like, do you think I could get like a boob job? Then I was like, what am I doing? And so that's why I was like, I can't do that. It's getting to my head. And also, why would I want to be with someone that likes to have sex with or like is using girls for, I don't know.
Just like body parts. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I was like thinking, that's another thing that I've had a problem with is like men, I feel like are very visual. And so I'm like, I need to fix this about myself and this. But then I think about it, I'm like, girls literally insert plastic things into their bodies in order to attract a male, or that's like what they think will attract them. And then they have all these complications afterwards, like they're injecting fat into their butts, like, and then my therapist helped me work through it. And she's like, why would you want someone who only values that? Like there's more that like that's an insecurity problem within men, that they only value someone based on their looks and not who they are inside. So that's what I've realized from that situation.
Yeah. And I think that's, I think every girl has been there, and it's so sad. Like, first of all, that guy that, you hooked up with and then was dancing with another girl in front of you, like, fuck that guy. Like, he's a fucking asshole.
I sometimes I blame myself because if I like a guy or if I'm interested in them, I kind of will, this is a problem I have. I kind of will make them a little bit jealous. So before that, I was dancing with another guy, but this was at a different time. So, up for failure. So,
well, you know what? I mean,
because I'm like, dang, he's playing the game.
Yeah.
Better than me.
So funny. Well, that's something to like talk with your therapist about, of like kind of, but I mean, the truth is like, this was Vegas. Like it probably wasn't going to be your forever person anyway. No. But, but how sad though that like I've recently been very insecure about my body, which is not, I've always had some insecurity. I had an eating disorder and But I'm noticing, lines on my face a little bit more. And I'm thinking about, maybe I need a little filler in my smile lines. And, I started getting Botox, and I got a little filler in my lips. And like now, I can't work out because I have like these injuries that are like chronic. And so then, my muscles are getting a little bit less tight. And it is consuming, because it's like, well, this guy that I'm then crushing on, like, what kind of girls is he interested in? Maybe he's interested in girls that don't have cellulite on their legs, or like that, they need like the face that doesn't have, like, that doesn't look their age, or, and it just, those thoughts are like really toxic and unfortunate. And it's like just part of like the society that we live in, especially in LA, where it's like everyone looks the same.
Yeah. And like I've been going to the clubs lately, and it's really sad to see them, like they let a few girls in, then like one girl doesn't fit this image and then they cut them off. I'm like, that is
Wow.
the saddest thing. Like imagine, there was this one girl who was like, I didn't even think she was that big, and they like put the little gate thing on top of her and like wouldn't let her. I'm like, do they not care about what they're doing? Like, it's really sad. Sometimes I struggle going out because I'm like, it's really, really hard being a girl here in LA.
It's really,
And
yeah.
even like go and have fun because you don't fit this perfect image.
Well, and like girls who are bigger in size are still beautiful. And there's men out there that still are very attracted to that. And like the fact that we have a society that like shames women for their bodies looking different or their faces looking different is such a shame,
Yeah. I mean, I have struggled with that all my life. And recently I decided to get plastic surgery. And it was a very small procedure. I just got like buccal fat removal. And I had complications from that. It's like something so small. They just cut open the inside of your mouth and take the fat out. So it like slims down your face. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm putting my body through all this stress for what reason? And then I was like, let me get lip injections. Got lip injections. They hit an artery in my lip and it like cut off the circulation. And she like freaked out. The surgeon was like breaking out in hives. And she was like, I've done this for 4 years. I don't know what happened. And so she like dissolved it immediately. And thank God, because she said, if I didn't get it dissolved, I would have had to cut my lip off. And like the stuff that like it's I have the craziest things, and I think that's God's sign, like saying, why are you fucking with your body? Like just appreciate it for what it is. And so I've had these signs just back to back, and I'm like, I should just appreciate myself, so it's really hard, like literally to have our whole entire value just based on what we look like is really saddening. And then
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like through therapy I realized like men also place our women's value, because having like something like a beautiful woman on their side also increases their ego. So like we're both insecure in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's what I was going to say is like, if, both men and women do things to try to get external, like do things outside of themselves to try to like fix, like feeling like they have self-worth. And so for men, it's like, oh, if I can make more money, or if I can have bigger muscles, or I can fuck more women even, right? Like if like women want me, then that might make me stop feeling like I'm a worthless piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right. But it never works. There's this like Buddhist saying or whatever. It's like trying to fill a cup with no bottom. Like if if you're like looking things from the outside, you'll keep throwing them in and the cup will never get any more full. And it's sort of making that shift to like finding your worth like internally, like that nothing outside of myself, no like promotion at work or someone telling me I'm great or how hot I am or whatever. It's like it has to come from the inside.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chloe, go ahead.
You go ahead. I don't remember what I was going to say.
Well, I was just going to say, like, thank you so much for being so vulnerable about that
Oh.
because I think a lot of women hide what they do to themselves because they want everybody to think like it's natural. But like, let's just be honest and open about it. Like, if you're gonna get Botox, if you're gonna get Botox, just get Botox and be like, yeah, I got Botox. Like, this is why my forehead doesn't move.
Yeah.
You know, like
Honestly.
if you're gonna get lip injections, get lip injections. Show off those lips. Like, great. If you're gonna get a boob job, let people know so they don't feel insecure that their boobs don't look perfect. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, let's just be, I mean, there's nothing against women getting stuff done.
Absolutely.
We cannot shame that. We cannot
Yep.
shame women getting plastic surgery because ultimately, if it makes them feel better,
Mhm.
great, right? But let's just be open about it so that other women don't feel insecure if they don't look like this perfect Kim Kardashian version of like what our society tells us we're supposed to be, you know? So I appreciate, we haven't really talked about plastic surgery on the podcast. I just really appreciate you being so open about what you've had done. And I think that's really valuable for women to hear.
Thank you. I know it's been a journey because like from the moment I was, I think like 8 years old, and I would watch Girls Next Door, and that was like my dream was to have huge old knockers. And I've literally since I was 8 years old, I was like, I want a boob job. And it just comes down to it. I was actually going to get one earlier this year, and the surgeon was being completely rude to me. And
Ew.
I know I had already paid. I put the down payment and everything. And then he just switched a flip. And I was like, I don't want someone who is judging me and like being disrespectful to be doing something to my body. Like, I just don't trust that. So I canceled it. I just had a lot of bad experiences with plastic surgery. And I'm like, it's not meant for me. And like through therapy, I've learned like to think outside the box and not fit like the societal norm. So instead of like looking for the same men, like I would look for these douchebag men who only valued girls' looks. And that would affect me because I'm like, why don't they like me? But now I'm like thinking outside the box. I'm not looking for the douchebags with like a bunch of money that can buy me whatever I want. Like, that's not what's going to make me happy. Like, being with someone that maybe actually cares about me and doesn't fit the societal norms of like being rich or having a nice car, a nice house. Like, I'm looking for someone that actually cares.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Substance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Glo, I'm also curious, like, as an Asian woman, like, how much do you feel that impacts your experiences in dating?
I don't know. No one's like outwardly told me this, but I feel like I don't have that much. Maybe the people that I'm going after kind of like the more exotic, because a lot of people ask me, they're like, what are you? Because I feel like I'm a little bit different looking. So I feel like it makes me stand out. But at the same time, I have had issues because like some of the guys that I date, they do like a certain type of woman. And I'm like, but I don't fit that. Why do you like me? And then I'll get in my head and then I'll start doing crazy stuff. So I've just had to remove myself from that. And like, I'm a little bit different. I don't have to fit the mold that all the other people he dated looked like. So I feel like I'm a little bit more accepting towards that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I have like friends who are like women of color, either like, you know, Black or Latin or Asian. And a lot of them have had like some experiences of like, you know, guys that sort of overly kind of like fetishize or sexualize like whatever their ethnicity is, or like, you know, like I have friends who are like Asian women who like have dated guys like white dudes that are flat out like, oh yeah, like I only date Asian women.
I've heard that too. Is that weird? Have you experienced that?
Okay, I actually have one of the craziest stories.
Okay, yay, because I was going to ask you if you had a crazy story to tell.
I was going to share this on TikTok, but I'll share it here.
Okay.
Okay, in Vegas, after that guy danced with that girl and like crushed my heart, I was like, I want to fucking get him back. So the guy I was dancing with prior to him, I had his number, and so I messaged him. I was like, come to this club right now and we're gonna make this guy jealous. I ended up going home with him. Come to find out, I think he had a fetish for Asians. And this is terrible. We got down and dirty, and then he didn't have a condom, like we had already used it. And so we needed another one for some reason. I don't know, I don't remember. But this guy went around looking for a condom. He like comes back and like opens it and like puts it on, and then he's about to enter me and the door busts wide open and his like roommates come in. And I like look back and I'm like, oh my God, he pretended he was like miming putting on a condom. He didn't even have one. He pretended to put it on. Yeah.
What?
That's called stealthing. That's actually a crime in California now.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like either you, like a guy will sort of like, so two people will agree consensually to have sex with a condom as part of the agreement. And then if the guy, or I guess any partner, like sort of secretly removes it without telling the other person or is lying, right? Like there's a couple states now that have like stealthing laws on the books. And there's actually like a lot of colleges and universities that have like stealthing rules.
Wow.
Like, because it's bullshit. Like, and it
It's-
exposes your partner to STD risk and pregnancy
Absolutely.
risk. And like,
No, I've had a lot of bad experiences with men and STDs. And so I'm like, I'm not going to risk it, especially not in Vegas.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, fuck yeah.
So I was like, what the hell is this? And so he told me, he's like, I just really want to have Asian babies. And I was like, you're just using me. I was like, I don't want to have kids. And he's like, well, I make a lot of money. You'll get like $5,000 in child support every month. And I was like, I don't
what is
care.
happening?
No amount of money is worth me having a child, especially with you.
Yeah. Wait,
So that
so,
Oh,
was-
wait, hold on. There's so many questions. Wait,
Okay, I
okay,
have
hold
one
on.
too.
Okay, hold on. So he's fake putting his condom on, and his friends are still in the background?
no,
No.
his roommates busted in to like stop him from doing that to you?
So no, first of all, he told me that he was staying by himself. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go back to your place. So then when we're about to like do it again or whatever, he was about to enter me, literally his roommates come in, they barge in, they're like, sorry, we only said we would give you like 25 minutes. And so they had just given him like a certain amount of time to like do something with me. And then they like came into the room just to like go to sleep because it was like late at night.
Okay, wait. So then they came into the room, and that's when.
You noticed that he was faking the condom thing.
Yes.
Oh, because it like because it was like more like the lights came on or something like that.
So he was going from behind. Look back there. I mean, you could, but I just wasn't in. I couldn't even lift my head, to be honest.
Oh my gosh, Glow, this is the best story I've ever heard.
No, I'm so thankful that his friends came in at the time. Thank God it was 25 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Speaking of dodging a bullet, right? Holy
Wow. You just dodged a penis.
Yeah, I did. And his little bullets that come out. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Also, like, that's really like, I hope, like, what did you do? What was your reaction? Like when you found out that he was faking it?
This guy was a little psycho. I was like, what the hell is wrong? I was like, he's lied about something. I'm like, you're just like a pathological liar. And he's like, well, at least you know who I truly am now. And I was like,
Oh my gosh. Did you get the fuck out of there?
I did. I left.
Good.
And that was it. I think I have him on Snapchat and he'll like message me. He also told me that he lived in Pasadena, which is like 20 minutes away from me. And so he was like, I forgot how this got brought up, but after the trip, I found out he doesn't even live here. He lives in like New York or something. Like, why would you lie about that? Like he was on a trip. I don't know.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Well, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah. So yeah,
Welcome.
by the way, if people enjoyed this, which how could you not? Like, they should follow you on TikTok.
Yes. So
Because
yeah. So tell us, like, how can our listeners find you? Because they need to hear more stories like
Yeah,
this.
I have a lot more crazier stories than that. You can follow me on TikTok at GLOSTIK_XO. That's also my username across all my social media platforms, Twitter and Instagram. I am up and coming, as like you said. So I'm barely starting to share my story. So come follow me along my journey.
Love
and
it.
get the inside scoop.
Wow. Well, Glo, thank you so much for coming on. This is an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad we met through that horrible podcast.
That bad YouTube show. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't see this.
I don't care. I don't care. I think yeah, because like I think he's fine, you know, but I think his ideas are misogynistic and he needs to learn a lesson. And like I feel bad for the women that he's gonna date, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we were on together because he said that he's never even talked about his personal life on the podcast.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we maybe kind of like insert a little bit into him. So maybe he might learn from us, but
yeah, I like that we pushed him.
Yeah.
I really like that we pushed
Well,
him.
and I think he is, yeah, I think he needs healing. Like I think I think his stuff around like, well, women should know their place and blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, it comes from an insecurity and like I can relate to that and stuff like that. But like, I think you're right though. He's playing to an audience of other men who have like really toxic beliefs that, you know, and like, so
he had us. I do feel like now, like we went back and like looked at some of the comments. I feel like he brought us on to troll us. Like he brought us on because he knew, like because he knew we felt differently. And basically all those comments were like making fun of all of us.
Yeah.
You know, which is like,
but yeah.
It's maybe sad.
His viewership, like people are very passionate about women should just be in this place and that's that. So that was my understanding. Like his probably viewership is just toxic men.
Yeah, totally. Well, Glo, tell us one more time your Instagram and your TikTok.
It's Glowstick XO. It's GLOSTIK_XO.
Awesome. All right, Glo, thank you so much for coming on. We'll be in touch.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, bye.